like 5 to 7 seconds. So it's probably on now. Actually, we're probably talking now. Just
Hey, should be
hi.
working.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the rOilers podcast number 19, Pardy Hard. It's me, your host for this little two-man endeavor, Nolan, aka Professor Scribbles. That's Adam, Sweet44722.
Our
I didn't
amazing
butcher the
hair
numbers
today.
there, I'm hoping.
No,
And,
you guys are getting.
hey, perfect. Uh, let's talk Oilers to get right into it. No introductions necessary because it's the same guy who's been on the whole time and the same guy who keeps filling in for fucking Arun whenever he's gone.
God, Arun. He's probably gonna watch tuning in later
So,
too.
last six games, pretty much as soon as we started booing the ever-loving shit out of Schultz, we've been playing pretty well.
Yeah,
What do you think, Adam?
it's almost an interesting coincidence that you kind of take Jultz off the blue line and all of a sudden things come together and you start playing well. But I think it is a coincidence more than anything. We took a look at the shots against for the last little while, for the last 6 games since the LA Kings game, and we were outshot in 4 of the 6 games. And in the games we were competitive in, so our LA, Anaheim, pretty much all of them up until Columbus, we've been outshot. Or like in the games where we did play really well, we outshot them. But Talbot is playing above par right now, and I think that's having a big impact on our game. They've no doubt they've been playing better, but I don't think this is our norm.
Hmm.
How about you?
I think I would be inclined to agree. Other than that Buffalo game, which is a bit of an anomaly because we barely beat them 2-1 in overtime.
Do you think
Uh,
do you think it's a case of playing down to an opponent?
Maybe because, well, I'm not going to compare us to the Sharks of 3 years ago, but the Sharks 3 years ago could never beat Buffalo despite being one of the best teams in the entire league.
Well, it was like
So,
Montreal last year with Buffalo and Columbus and us and like a
yeah.
few other and the Leafs too. Actually, I think
Yeah,
there's
there are definitely teams that play down to the competition, and I think the Oilers probably would suffer a bit from that because of. I don't want to harp about lack of professionalism because when we talk about Schultz, that's all I'm going to be fucking saying. But I think there are definitely teams that play down the competition, and especially for a team that has absolutely nothing to play for and hasn't had anything to really play for several years, it kind of doesn't surprise me we didn't put in that great of an effort. But I mean, just look at all the other games, like 2-1 against the best team in the Pacific,
hmm
a loss to the Kings, but the best team in the fucking Pacific, 38, 22, and 4 now.
and then there's the
Uh,
Ducks who have been the best team
Taking it
since
to the
Christmas.
OT, who are absolutely on fire, and
hmm
taking it to OT and only losing 2-1.
We
And
were we were
no
outshot.
points. No points that game from Connor McDavid. That's what's impressive. We
Yeah.
weren't carried by McDavid to overtime that game.
It
Uh, Beat the Islanders
yeah
3-1.
yeah.
Connor McDavid got an assist on a Brandon Davidson goal, and OT, yep. McDavid carried us in Buffalo, so there's that. And everyone was just beating the ever-loving shit out of Philly, and I don't really know what happened in Columbus there, but Bressois got lit up.
It was bad.
It was real bad.
Mix
But
of like Briscoe and the team playing bad.
yeah, but picking up guys like Pardy and Cracknell, and well, those
Mhm.
have definitely helped and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I'm not really sure. I'm not sure who to blame for the failure of late, like the couple of odd failures. As much as I'm not sure what to do or say about the couple recent wins. Davidson, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've talked about him once or twice already on the podcast, but Davidson's been like incredible.
Yeah.
He's just like showing from out of nowhere a guy who we thought, hey, maybe this guy can be a number 6 for us in 3 years, is saying, hey, maybe this guy can be a top pairing defenseman in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about this guy other than suddenly he's doing everything right. Cracknell and Party, I don't think have had as much of an impact on the ice as they've had off of it. I don't like Party. Party is clearly the kind of guy who teams don't value a whole lot because they can find them wherever for dirt cheap, and you just send him down on waivers because he's replaceable. But we haven't had a lot of like across the NHL. These guys are all good number 6, number 7 defensemen. We've had guys that are good number 6, number 7s for us, which is the Nikitins and Joltzes of the league. And
Yeah. I
what a fucking shit show that's been.
we picked up Party and Cracknell off waivers and then Maroon through a trade, and I think they've been okay. Cracknell hasn't really done a whole lot. He's been kind of invisible, but Party has been fairly good on defense. He had a couple lapses last game. He had moments, but he's not looking out of his depth, which is encouraging. But Maroon has actually been an interesting one too. 'Cause he has I think he has 2 points so far. And,
Maroon, yeah, he's
2
definitely
points in
got
3
at least
games.
one.
So I mean, or at least 1 and 3, one of the two. But he's been good. But I think the biggest change obviously is the size component. Like we're seeing the Oilers become a much bigger team, and it's a mix of skill in McDavid and Epperly and Hall and Yakupov and size in with the big boys now. Now we see these guys playing, and do you think it's obviously they're playing because of a lack of Benoit Pouliot primarily, but Teddy Purcell obviously missing now is a big part of it. Do you think these guys are going to be here next year?
Well, first off, I'm going to be I don't think this is that bold, but I'm going to be a bit out there and say that I think Purcell might be back next year for the Oilers because he was not just like Schultz, a guy that people said they really liked him in the locker room, but he also played NHL hockey, which is something that we have never seen from Schultz outside of like 30 games in the start of this season before he got injured. I don't think Pardy will come back because number 6, number 7 defensemen like him go on waivers because they are disposable and they have a clear flaw. Pardy's foot speed is frankly terrible, but he does play big and he hits big. He's basically just a poor man's Greiber right now, and we have Greiber. Yeah. Not only that, but Chia actually traded parts for Greiber, whereas he picked up Pardy for free. So there's not really any reason for him to try and hold on to Pardy. Cracknell, I think it might be more of the same kind of thing. I don't really know how much of an impact he's had because I haven't caught a lot of the last 2 games outside of our goals. I wasn't really paying attention when I was at the bar, but I mean, I noticed when everyone was cheering that shit was going down, and we were playing very well. But I don't know if either of them have a place on the team, but if the defense becomes really weak in free agency, maybe we decide to bring Pardy back, but he's the kind of guy that every team wants to try and bring into theirs because he's got one flaw, but at least he plays NHL hockey sometimes.
Yep.
And Maroon, I mean, shit, we just traded for him. Of course we're going to do something to keep him.
We have him for another year at least anyway.
Yeah, when the opportunity arises, I think we'll definitely re-sign Maroon because he brings a game that Chia likes and we don't have enough of. He's the kind of guy you'd expect Pouliot to be a bit more like not an elite scorer at all. I'm not calling Benoit Pouliot an elite scorer, but he plays with his size a lot more than Maroon, that is, plays with his size a lot more than Benoit Pouliot does. And I don't know, he brings a character and a grit that we haven't seen from many of our top 6 guys because they're all depressed and used to losing.
He's technically a veteran too. He's 27.
That's true.
I think
wait, he's 27. Oh, geez, he's younger than Pouliot.
Pouliot does produce points fairly well, though. I don't think it's inaccurate to say that he is a point producer. He's very much a complementary player. Where he won't produce on his own necessarily, but he'll produce we saw it with Nuge and Everly. But I don't know if Cracknell will stay around. We do need to revamp the bottom 6, which is a big part of it. But Kyrie Yakimov came back, which is something I forgot to add, but that's huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll get a call up before the end of the year, but he'll have a chance to push for the team probably. As for Pardy, I don't see him being back. I mean, we have Reinhardt and Greiber, and Reinhardt probably has the same foot speed, maybe a little better, and is probably he plays a little softer, but they're not wholly.
He's
different.
Also 21.
Yeah, and Greiber, and I'm an ELC, and Greiber is. Yeah, Greiber is pretty much the same player Pardy is, just a little older and probably about the same speed. So I don't know if Pardy's back, but I have a feeling Maroon's obviously going to stick around. But Cracknell probably will be given a chance to show what he can do in the last 15 games here, and see whether or not he deserves to be back. And I think that'll be the big thing with Chia now is you have to prove what you deserve to be here.
Yeah. Not only that, but I think a guy like Cracknell might end up filling the same kind of shoes as a Hendricks. We don't know a lot about him yet, but if he's a guy who's very important in the locker room. I'm trying to find everyone's stats that we've mentioned so far. Cracknell is obviously never going to be an elite scorer at 30 and with 27 points and 11 goals in 128 games. But Maroon's got 3 points in 2 games for us here. We have a player in him. Cracknell might be maybe a better Gazdic for us, and if we have a better Gazdic who's also useful in the locker room, I don't see why Cracknell couldn't stick around on another league minimum 1-year contract, just kind of bumming around.
I Jeez, I'm having a hard time talking today. I think it'll be more like Chia is going to look for replacement parts for the bottom six because we've had issues. You know, Pakarinen probably stick around. Hendricks probably stick around. But, you know, Korpikoski's probably going to be out on his ass. Letestu might stick around too, but he's been okay lately, but before he wasn't very good. So if those guys can show that they're better than the current or bottom six guys, then you know they might get a chance. But there's also going to be guys like Kyra who might push for a spot because he's been playing so well. I don't know whether or not they stick around, but it'll be interesting over the last 15 games to see how the bottom six does because the bottom six were god awful last game. I think was it Cracknell. I want to say it was Cracknell, Maroon, or it was Cracknell, Hendricks, and who else was playing? Someone
Letestu?
That I think might have been Letestu. Were all -3. So they weren't on an ice for a goal, and they were on ice for half the goals against us. They weren't good.
Yeah.
Now moving on to other signings with Davidson and Brossoit. Do you like the signings and the fact that Brossoit has a one-way contract now and Davidson's on a 2-year deal, or what do you make of it?
I don't think we could have asked for a better deal in regards to Davidson. If he keeps on playing like this for 2 more years, then we're just so fucking happy, because that is one of the most value D contracts I think we've had in several years. Like, the only contract we've had,
Clefbaum's.
frankly, in the last decade that's been as value was just having Pronger. That's a value contract no matter what, as long as he's playing for you. Clefbaum's shows it could be.
Sekera's is pretty good too for what he brings.
Sekera's is pretty good, but the value of Brandon Davidson relative to Sekera's contract is immense.
Sekera is playing bottom or top 2 minutes right now. But Davidson's playing top 4.
And I mean, I'll take a number 3 defenseman for the Oilers, sign out of free agency for $5.5 million for 5 years. Like that's pretty good. But Brandon Davidson, if he improves and he continues to improve, $1.4 million for a guy who's playing top 4, maybe even top 2 minutes in a year and a half, is fucking staggering.
I mean, he played 24 minutes the other night.
Yeah,
and
he's been playing big minutes, but he's been given a chance to show what he can do defensively, to the point where he's just like, all right, I'm getting into my groove, I'm working on my offense and my ability to score now, and it's showing.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much hard to remember we ever had a Schultz on the team, because between Clefbaum and Davidson, I'm pretty sure we'll have all the offense we need in the top 4 for the time being. And the Brossoit, I mean, he's making a little bit more money. Do you remember if it was 2-way or 1-way?
It was 2-way before.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I figured. It's 1-way now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I kind of hope that doesn't mean that Brossoit is going to be the backup coming out of training camp. I would like if Talbot got a chance to run with it, but I also don't want it to be another situation of Oilers have a backup who plays kind of well, but then we have to get rid of him because Brossoit is playing too well and he's stifling Eetu Lorakainen at this point, and he needs to be getting time playing against somebody.
The issue I'm running into with the goaltending is that Brossoit has been good, but he's only played 4 games. And you signed him, the contract's dirt cheap for like 2 years at $750K or something like that. So it's next to nothing, but the concerning thing for me, at least, is that then because it's a one-way contract, you don't have to play him in the NHL. You can absolutely send him down, and I think Chia will do that, but it does lean towards the fact that he might be the backup next year. And you have to debate whether or not he's going to get more value starting in the AHL or playing as a backup in the NHL. Now, he has been ready to make the jump, and I think they'll probably run Talbot for another year or 2 at least, because you need at least a year or 2 of grooming a goaltender. And by that point, Talbot will be, I think he'll be 30.
Something like that.
Yeah,
he's
30,
not a young goalie, but he
20,
has definitely shown that he can improve a little bit more.
He's 27 or 28 right now. I think he's 28 right now.
He is 28.
Yeah, so he'll be 30 by the time we hit the second year of his third year of his contract. So at that point, the Oilers might evaluate, like, well, do we want to split duty with them for a year or 2 and then send him on his way? And I don't think it's a terrible option. It does also give Lorakainen time in the AHL, and he's been playing okay as far as I know. I haven't really checked his stats in a bit, but it does kind of lend itself to the fact that they're almost certifying that Brossoit is going to be the backup with only 4 games experience, and in his last game he got lit up. So
yeah,
it's an interesting decision. I don't know if it's the wrong one, but it's interesting at the very least. Now another player I forgot to mention is Clendenning. What do you do with him? Is he a poor man Schultz or?
Yeah, we've already kind of talked about his game before, but as far as what to do with him, he's definitely not the D that Gio was talking about giving a test drive to, because I haven't heard Clendenning talked about pretty much at all in the last couple of weeks. I think Pardy will replace the role of Clendenning, and Clendenning will be like emergency fill-in at this point. I don't think he has a future here pretty much whatsoever.
I don't think so either. I mean, last game he had a couple terrible god-awful giveaways. And it was just like it was jolting all over again. It wasn't great. I don't know if he's an NHL defenseman on this team, which is saying a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but he wasn't jolting to the tune of $4 million a year.
That's the other part of it.
That's a lot of jolting to catch up on.
He's still a very cheap contract. So he'll get a job somewhere, maybe on a team rebuilding.
Yeah,
Leafs. But we'll see. I don't know. He probably actually won't end up there because at least have a lot of good young prospects. But he. Yeah, like you said, I don't think he fits in between Reinhart and Simpson's pushing now too. We have Musil, who's been okay. With the emergence of Davidson, we still have Clefbaum, Sekera. I almost said Schultz. We have Pardy, Greiba.
The emergence of Schultz. Yeah, what, out of the dumpster?
Tire fire.
Hey guys, I'm still here.
Oh.
Anyway,
yes, I just think we have too many defensemen that fill the same role he does. He can't fit in the lineup anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, I think we've waxed on about waiver guys long enough. Around the league, Oilers and Jets officially announced for their Stadium Series game. That's what they're still calling it, right? It's not Heritage Classic just because it's Oilers.
Classic.
Winter Classic. Okay, yeah. There's 5 of them every year, but it's Classic. Mm-hmm. October 22nd and 23rd, all the greats coming back. Yeah, Don't know who else is on the team so far, but we've got a pretty stacked lineup. What do you think?
I like it. I'm excited that we're gonna have Gretzky, Messier, and Curry and Coffey back. So I'm hoping we'll end up with somebody like Grant Fuhr or Andy Moog coming back, and maybe Smitty joining up. And I don't know if he'll count as an alumni from that era, but it'd be nice to see Smitty kind of join in. He's already playing hockey, so it's a viable option. Maybe Pisani joins in. Some of the players from the 06 run.
Rolly the goalie coming back. That'd be sweet.
That'd be fun. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to lean more towards, because it is a heritage game. They might lean towards the '80s guys. Mind you, some of the guys were old enough that they would have been the transition period. So Smith would have been in that transition period. You could say that Pisani was there for a while too, and he's an Edmonton boy.
That'd be awesome.
At any rate,
Fernando.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the jerseys because they've already gone with the orange for this year. So maybe they're going to go with the orange Oilers logo for this one. They kind of might look interesting. Now the big question is, because they've had an issue with viewership for the last few games. I know the Stadium Series with the Avalanche and the Red Wings got the lowest amount of views yet. But I guess the alumni game did pretty well. So are you going to watch both? Or are you going to watch maybe the alumni game only? Or what do you think?
To be completely honest, I haven't really given much of a rat's ass about the alumni stuff because it hasn't been, the alumni games haven't been with players that have ever been remotely relevant to my life. Like the Wings greats were kind of before my time, and I never really cared about the Wings when I was a kid. Avs, it's the same kind of thing. Like they're more proud history is stuff that I'm just completely in the dark on. But I've also never really had a chance to see all these guys playing live anyway for the Oilers, like Gretzky and Mess and Curry and Semenko. So that'd be cool, even if, they're all in like their 40s and 50s and 60s now. Like, it'd still be cool to watch, and I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I'm kind of curious what we'll do with the jerseys too, because our current alternate is really good. So how they're going to improve or try to come close to the same quality is kind of up to question. And we had another point we were going to make about the alumni game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more. It wasn't so much alumni game, but I was talking to Loire on the sub earlier, and we were talking about how how good Gretzky could have been if he had been training in a modern era. And I don't know if there's a point of contention. It'd obviously be stronger and faster, but do you think he would have done as well? I guess it's like the old adage where Gretzky would never do as well in the NHL nowadays because they don't score as much. But do you think Gretzky, with how good his brain was at the game of hockey, do you think with the extra physical training, the new knowledge of anatomy and training skills, the new diets and all that, do you think he would be as good now or as dominant nowadays as he was back then if he was playing with all the new training techniques?
I think in the current era, he would probably be getting the kind of seasons that Kane is getting now all the time. If he was adjusting, of course, to how well he played, I don't really know how well Coffey and Messier would be doing now. I mean, Messier is still, second in all-time points. Like, he's a fucking incredible player, but the difference between him and Gretzky is pretty substantial. Like, Mess would probably be a point-a-game player every single season, but I think Gretzky's points would probably compare to what McDavid is trending towards and what Kane is doing right now. The goalies have gotten better, defense has gotten better, systems and management and things like that have gotten better, and diets have improved. But when we extrapolate Gretzky into the future, we don't really take into account that all the players that he would be playing against are already doing all these dietary and fitness training and things like that as it is. So Gretzky, with that additional boost, would probably be still considered like monumentally powerful on the ice. Like, he would be an incredible player still.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong to say either. Because I mean, if you think about it, yeah, if he's good then and he's using all the techniques now, he's gonna be faster, stronger, more skilled. Which is ridiculous to say considering he was already, like, he's the greatest of all time. But I think the interesting thing about Messier is that Messier was the epitome of, well, not the epitome. He was the fatherhood of power forwards. Not the fatherhood, the founding father,
the grandfather,
of like he became the structure for power forward. So I almost think at his heyday, in the way he played, he'd almost be successful nowadays in NHL straight up without adding on the extra weight training. Now, would he be as good as he was? I think it depends because you have a lot more guys that are more skilled. But with Gretzky, I think it's a different case because he was so much more intelligent than everyone around him. I could make a case that you could make a case that Gretzky'd end up at 1.3 to 1.5 points per game. I don't think that's absurd to say. I mean, 2.5 like he did in fucking the 80s, maybe not, but he'd still be arguably. I think he'd still be the best player on the planet if he had the modern training.
I'd say if we assumed his career had happened over this period of time and this current setup of defending and goals and whatnot, he would probably break the 100-point barrier three or four times. 3 or 4 times, I'd say. I don't think he would be that dominant because teams would be going hard in the paint to shut him down, and the defensive systems would do a better job of dealing with him, but he would still be just so much better than everyone else out there. He would make plays out of nowhere, kind of like Ovi, Crosby, McDavid do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, and of course that's assuming that he'd be like Crosby's age now, or something like that, like around similar age.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be 50 years old playing now, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
But anyway, speaking of generational talents, and as I mentioned earlier, McDavid's trending towards the same sort of points as I expect Gretzky would have gotten, the McDavid effect. Well, obviously McDavid's been incredible. We say this every single time we talk about him. Are the Oilers now worth watching because of McDavid?
I don't know if they're worth watching because of McDavid, but it's worth watching the games for McDavid, if that makes sense. So you want to watch, like, I know a lot of people have been saying, I'm out of the Oilers already, I hate watching them, but I look for McDavid on the ice, and as soon as he's on the ice, I watch his shift and then turn my attention away from TV after he's off. And it's such a weird thing to do, but you kind of get it after watching for five or six shifts. He's everywhere at once and nowhere at the same time. Like, he's always open, but he's not.
Yeah.
And then he makes plays out of nothing, and he gets shots on goal, and then you see his speed, and you don't think he's that fast, and he gets faster somehow, and you're just like, well, I don't understand. And it's just, so I could definitely see the McDavid effect being increasing interest in the team. Obviously the Winter Classic, I don't think you get the Winter Classic without McDavid. I don't think the Oilers have a chance at getting we're going to talk about this later, but the World Cup of Hockey, maybe a draft. I don't know if you have the same ticket sales this year at Rexall, especially because of how bad they've done again this year after the last decade. You don't have the ticket sales you do if McDavid isn't there. So I don't think
Could you imagine? Oh, sorry. No, finish
I
your thought.
I don't think you can underestimate the effect that McDavid has had on rejuvenating the fan base and rejuvenating interest in the team, but it's not so much the team as the player itself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how pissed off the fan base would be at the franchise if we'd kept McTavish? For some fucking reason, we kept Akins. Like, this is the darkest timeline. We don't win the lottery. Toronto does. And we draft Lawson Krause for his size. Imagine how fucking dead everyone would be inside.
Like that's like getting to the
that is the darkest timeline.
That's like Browns level shit. That's like fucking Cleveland Browns. You don't go there. You don't. No, you just off yourself.
It makes me really happy anytime we talk about McDavid and at all having to do with the draft, because the low to high from hearing Toronto's name called as they got down to the final four people and then having it realize, oh wait, Toronto didn't win. Oh, it's our turn. We have a winner. Oh fuck. Oh,
that was the best part. I think is when
good.
He said it before he flipped it. You realize like it took a second to sink in. You're like, no, that doesn't make sense. And then he pulled it, and you're like,
I was already standing up from my couch hugging my dad. We were watching it together. We're just like, holy fuck, we got Connor McDavid. It's ours. We did it. We sucked for so long. We finally got it.
We finally got another generational talent on top of Hall.
Yakupov, the generational talent. But anyway, speaking of draft, some seamless transitions.
We're getting good at this.
Yeah, maybe the Oilers are pushing for a draft of their own, or maybe hosting the World Cup of Hockey in the future. Like it, hate it, want more of it. What do you think?
I mean, we're obviously a little biased in this regard, but I always like a little bit of attention. Whether or not it's going to bring good and bad attention. You know, if the Oilers just doing bad, then it's going to bring like, oh, why they're just going to suck more and stuff like that. But it's kind of nice that we have McDavid now. We have a team that's looks like they're at least trending upward with recent performances. We have management that actually wants to make changes. We have a new rink. Obviously, that's a big part of it. And so I think you look at the team and they're on the up climb, and you do want to see your team in a lot of things. That's part of the reason Chicago has been so popular in their viewing area. They have one of the highest TV ratings of the NHL. You have a successful team, they're going to get more stuff, but when you have a successful team, you also get more stuff. So they've had the drafts, they've had competitions. I think, do they have the World Cup of Hockey, or not, the World Juniors this year?
I'm not sure.
Oh, this year's in Toronto, Montreal, sorry.
Yeah.
Then they also have they have all the Stadium Series and all the Winter Classics and every other. Yeah. They have more games on national TV. So the better you do and the more attention you have, you get all these nice little bonus packages, and it's kind of I'd look forward to it. I'm gonna look forward to the Winter Classic next year, and if we get a World Cup of Hockey or we get we get a draft, then I'll look forward to it. I've never seen a draft at Rexall in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Has there been one since we've been born?
I don't think so. I could look at NHL draft in Edmonton. I doubt it. There might have been one somewhere.
Maybe late 90s.
It doesn't show up properly when trying to look up locations of drafts.
Yeah, whatever. So and hope it.
Pretend nothing happened.
Hopefully, yeah. Let's just keep talking, and if it pops back up, then
sure. Here's hoping that we're still actually streaming. I didn't pay any attention to the chat for a while, because at this point I was like, oh, okay, well, no one's watching right now, so forget it. And then I finally look, and like 10 minutes later, Arun has actually commented several times. And let's go back and address these really quickly while we hope that the stream fixes itself. Arun says, issue is that before Gretzky, it was not usual to play from behind the net. Now a lot of the play is behind the net. That doesn't happen without Gretzky. Everyone wonders how Gretzky will do in today's hockey, but his impact is so huge that you need to also consider how much the game has changed because of Gretzky and his play.
I think it's a valid point.
That's pretty fair too, yeah. But he was just so good at everything that he did, frankly, that he probably still. I'd stand by my point. He would get a 100-point season a couple times.
Yep.
There's no way we are drafting Krause. And Mac T wasn't a great GM, but he was good at drafting. Pakarinen and Davidson were his late picks. That's fair.
Yeah, but he also fucking drafted Miraz and Granat. So there's that. Like he had some good picks, but he also had some ones that completely shit the bed.
Yeah.
Are we still actually streaming?
It looks like we are still streaming. Yeah. All right. So
Sweet.
things are looking up.
I don't know how that works.
I think it'd be sweet if we got a draft. I think it'd be sweet if we got a World Cup of Hockey, because then I wouldn't feel obliged to ever want to leave the city to go watch like with World Juniors. I was thinking, how much are tickets to see World Juniors in Helsinki, because that'd be sweet. And I go there and it's like, oh, prices are like, $100 for good seats at a game in Finland. Oh, that'd be sweet. And then
Exchange
realize,
rate.
oh, all the tickets are gone and the flight there is still $1,000 round trip. Maybe not.
I was gonna say I'm gonna look into ones for next year, but I highly doubt I'm gonna afford them. We'll
Yeah.
see if I'm in Toronto, I might get media pass or something. We'll see.
Maybe doing our Oilers mods and regulars trip to Winnipeg for the Winter Classic.
Yeah, we
Could be
I
cool.
mean, meeting in May, might as well.
Anyway, let's move on to back to discussing the team again. The post-Jultz era, as you call it. Fairly strong games. Holy shit. The stream's not the only been gone. Outside of the last game versus Columbus, has he been the difference? Was it the boys reacting to McClellan's post-game comments after the Ottawa game? Last 6 games, Schultz hasn't been playing. Last 6 games, Oilers look good. Obviously, correlation's causation. Schultz is a locker room cancer, despite what everyone says, and we are just doing well because he's gone. What do you think, Adam?
I don't. I obviously I'm going to take a dissenting opinion because I'm a jackass. 1 and 2 because you're wrong because I'm a jackass.
Oh yeah.
But it's okay. It's scientific method. If we want to go with that, correlation isn't always causation. You need to have substantial evidence. And in the last 6 games, Cam Talbot's been playing very, very well. Or we've had more production as far as offense goes. We've also picked up a few bigger players that are actually throwing hits. We've played teams who, while have been good, do struggle at times against lower teams. The Islanders are historically bad at playing down to opponents. And I don't know, it's probably, I'm sure not having Joltz has helped. Not having a guy that plays 25 minutes a night, consistently turns the puck over, and has issues defending while not producing any offense is going to boost your defense. That's just a fact. But enough to a point where we won 3 straight and we looked good against some of the best teams in the league. I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced. I think we're being masked by Talbot's incredible play a little bit. I do think that we have been playing better defense with Pardy in the lineup and especially Davidson playing even better. Like, I don't understand how he keeps hitting after he contract goes better again. Like, it doesn't make sense. So that's probably a big part of it. But no, I think the big one will be if Clefbaum comes back and we start winning more games, or we start like our play level becomes more consistent, because that's more evident that our defense improved without Joltz, and he wasn't the factor holding us back, but he was a factor that's changed.
Yeah, that's fair. And I was gonna say, like, that's something too that's pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing well, and Clefbaum is still not fucking back.
Or Nuge, our best defensive. Like, McDavid's great
Jesus
and all,
Christ.
but McDavid's great and all.
Our most veteran and relevant center, Letestu and Lander, don't fucking count, and our by far best defenseman, and at this point probably our best offensive defenseman now with the disappearance of Schultz, who I would argue was never relevant offensively this season, but whatever, minor details.
No. He wasn't
like without them being there, I think we've been buoyed by Talbot playing out of his mind and showing, like, yep, that trade was actually worth it, Shia, like, look at me, look what I can do. And Davidson popping in and being relevant offensively as well as, completely stalwart defensively has helped us win a few games that we probably maybe didn't deserve to win, although, or at least kept it close, like the 2 games we lost against
LA and Anaheim.
Yeah. LA and Anaheim. Yeah. I had those teams in my mind. I couldn't decide the order to say them in, so I didn't say anything.
Either way.
I don't think McClellan chewing them out live had anything to do with it, but I think that was more of a morale booster for fans than anything else, because hearing a coach who is willing, for one, and allowed by management, or 3, just didn't fucking care what management thought, to chew out his team live in post-game is really fucking refreshing after Aikens being just the fucking...
We're improving.
Yeah. Well, we're improving, intangibles. my background play, my locker room, everything's improving, and just little things. But no, like willing to actually come out and say we've been playing like shit. Certain players have been playing really fucking bad, and basically hinting, I can't wait for Jultz to be gone at the deadline. Like that's refreshing. All right.
Hey, so I don't know if I should do video because it's just killing everything.
Okay, well I'll do video, and maybe that.
We can just
fuck it.
Whatever.
We've got like 15 minutes left. You can do it. I trust in your internet.
Do it live. I don't. Anyway,
Don't,
I didn't hear anything after Kruger.
Okay. Well, I mean, if things had gone differently, and the upper management didn't just walk all over him and say, no, you can't do that. We're an honorable franchise. You're not allowed to say anything bad or do your own thing. We have a plan and you have to stick to it. Like they pretty much probably did with Aikens because, he was an AHL coach trying to make it anywhere at the time and then realized I've really made a big fucking mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the coaching. I don't think McClellan calling people out had anything to. But I was thinking of a clever way to segue that into talking about whether or not we should tank for the draft, and I can't think of it. So, without further ado, to speed this along because our internets are clearly falling apart, should we tank? Is there a point, or should we start trying to win?
Well, first off,
I'm just gonna come out and say that right now. I mean, what are you doing to that poor cup?
I want a coffee.
Oh, nice. Yeah, just put that in the mail and send it to Edmonton for me.
I'm good.
Okay. Is it time to establish a winning culture? Yeah, we've been saying that for 3 fucking years. We don't need to tank anymore. Like, what are we hoping for? Oh, we get Matthews. Now we can overpay to try to keep Nurse, Clefbaum in 5 years, Draisaitl,
McDavid,
probably Hall, McDavid, and now fucking Austin Matthews. Yeah,
and
that's
whoever
great.
we end up with on top pairing D.
Whoever ends up trading a first overall draft pick always loses the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, you trade that pick and you are not getting value back for what you're trading away. There's no reason for us to tank right now. If we win it and we're like 6th or 7th or something in the league through some miracle of play, learning to do well, I would probably trade down the pick. Like, just fuck it. No, I don't. I would like Matthews in my heart of hearts. It'd be like, hey, let's have like 4 generational talents. Let's just fucking go for it. But you can't afford that. Like, look what just having 2 of them is doing in Chicago. $21 million in cap for 2 players.
Yeah,
and they're still fucking doing
winning.
Because,
so
yeah, because Kenville is a fucking genius. But
Dan Bowman is.
Well, and yeah, Bowman is a god amongst men. But I don't think tanking anymore really helps us at all. I don't think Matthews helps us at all. Oh yeah, let's get another like average to decent sized forward with a shitload of skill, so that all of them can want the puck and no one can give it to them.
He has been better than Eichel though. He's been ranked as higher than Eichel. So,
listen, I just don't want Toronto to get him. That's all that really matters to me.
They're probably gonna end up with him.
Not get him.
Like
they can take Laine, they can take Puljujarvi, they can take whoever else is fucking relevant. They can have Chychrun. I don't care.
I still actually. So first off, going back, I think actually McClellan's talk did help a bit. I think for the kick of the balls for some of the guys, but whether it be as big of an impact, we'll see. But as for the draft, I think if you're first overall and you have Matthews, who's another generational talent, you almost have to take him. But at the same time, trading down it's a good option. Like you could trade down and pick up Laine or Puljujarvi or even Chychrun.
Yeah, it's an attractive prospect. Yeah. I mean, to be able to say, "Hey, look, we've got we're back. Okay, Matthews. Yeah, if we get him, we'll get him, and then we trade away Eberle and Nuge, and then we keep Hall, Draisaitl, McDavid. We let Yak go, and we keep Matthews. So we only have." We start the rebuild over again. Rebuild 2.5, better than the first 3. We shouldn't tank. There's a point, to get Matthews. If we do that, then we have to trade away pieces, and then maybe at that point we finally become good. But when these guys are all asking for $10 million a year, we're fucked. If you have anything else to say about it, go for it. But I think we should finish this because our internets are collapsing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a point. I almost think it's better if we end up third through like 5th. So we end up with either Puljujarvi or Tkachuk or Laine or
Chychrun.
Chychrun,
Yeah.
ideally. And then there's a
We'll get
couple.
one of those four if we finish fifth.
There's a couple big, strong, good defensemen outside of the top five too. In which case, I think you pick one of them. I don't know if you go BPA. It's kind of that weird thing where it's like this draft, like from 1 to about 7 is very good, and like 7 to 15 is also good, but they're kind of interchangeable. And then you have some mixed in defensemen, so it's like, do you take BPA or do you take position? I think we'll have to look at that a little more closer to the deadline, like when things are a little more solved with the rankings and where we are. Maybe we'll do that after the lottery, lottery reaction. And
I think things are in. We're in a really fucky situation here in Edmonton.
Weird.
Pardon my language. This is a Christian podcast. Pardon my language. We're in a weird position where drafting forwards doesn't make a lot of sense because we have too many of them. We have too many good young forwards. Drafting defensemen, at first glance, makes a lot of sense, but we have Davidson, Nurse, and Clefbaum, so who do we keep and trade at that point?
It does take a bit
and
to develop them too.
And drafting goalies in the top 10 or anywhere in the top round is fucking voodoo, so forget it.
Drafting like Lou or fucking...
Yeah, unless they are clearly the best goalie you'll find in the top round in the next 5 years, it's always fucking gone wrong or wonky to draft in the top round.
Yeah.
Because frequently there are better players drafted 5th, 6th, 7th for goalies that end up better than the guys in the first.
Yeah, and the big issue with drafting defensemen too is, if you think about it, it's not going to help you until 3 or 4 years down the road. So that's more like, at this point, you're almost drafting more to maintain whatever success you're hoping to get in the next few years than to bolster your team during a rebuild. That's kind of what we got to with drafting. Moving on, because we talked about that for a while.
The Caps.
Yes, the Capitals.
100 points, 65 games. Are they cup favorites? They have Justin Williams, so they better fucking win it all now.
I think they are, but I still have this nagging feeling that the Blackhawks are too deep for any team to beat them right now. Maybe the Ducks with how they've played, but the Ducks have no offense outside the top 6.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, 2 years ago, people thought the Blackhawks were too deep, and LA still ended up beating them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I think we'll see a Caps Hawks final, which will be a good one. I'd love
if the Caps make it to the final, I will be fucking ecstatic.
I hope
I'm buying a Holtby jersey if that happens.
I hope Ovi and Holtby and Backstrom and Kuznetsov can get their cup. I hope Brooks Light can get his ring, but whether they will win, I think that right now they're probably favorites. But a lot can change in a month, and a lot can change in 4 months, and we have another 4 months until the cup's going to be raised by a team. It's a lot of hockey. So.
Yeah. Oh, also, Brooks will not be getting his ring because he plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, you can get a ring. You can't raise it. You won't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the team would not give him one. So
fucking no way. Ovi would just give him his.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly right.
I get to hold cup. At least you get to have ring. Let's just jump right on because Caps are, I guess, my third team. They're my team in the East. I'll be cheering for them if they make it out of the first round.
They're my choice in the East. So
yeah. Come on, man! Hold out hope for Ottawa. Come on.
They're fucking done. If you saw them play the other night against the Bulls, they were awful.
Oh yeah, Nick had a good time with that one, I'm sure. Anyway, Kane. We've kind of waxed a little bit about Kane. 88 points, 66 games, on pace for a 100-point season. This is kind of an anomalous season because I don't know, things just seem to be clicking really well for them, and I think playing with Panarin is kind of it's psychological warfare at this point for those two to be together.
It's so fucked. It's like you're gonna take Kane, and then are they playing with Hossa or somebody too? Hossa's injured right now, I guess, but they're playing with
they're playing with another really good forward, which is most of the forwards on the Blackhawks.
It's Anisimov.
So a pretty good top 6 forward, yeah.
It's just it's that line.
He doesn't compare to Hossa, but Jesus Christ, why are you complaining?
It's jokes. It's okay. Oh, so Kane and Panarin aren't gonna beat you. Oh, okay. How about this guy that used to put up fucking 40, 50 points a year for the Blue Jackets? Yeah, he's pretty good too.
Yeah, it's like complaining about having Pouliot on a line with Eberle and McDavid.
No.
It's only Pouliot. Yeah, it's fucking Eberle and McDavid.
Yeah, Pouliot puts up 40 points a year.
You can
too.
put anyone up there.
Yeah,
fucking put Lander up there. That might actually ruin everything.
Speaking of Lander, he's actually not played too badly since he returned. He hasn't produced anything, but he's not playing too badly. I'd argue he was probably the best bottom 6 forward in that Columbus game. and that was
For
a shit show of a
60
game.
loss. Yeah, that's saying something.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway,
But speaking of Panarin, does he deserve the Calder? Should it be Ghost Bear? Should it be Connor McDavid? Should it be fuck Dylan Larkin? What do you think?
again, this is the bias speaking, but McDavid, I mean, he's leading the league in scoring since returning from injury. He's been, I think he's at 1.12 or 1.13, something like that.
Yeah.
Panarin's ridiculous, but he's also the same age as Hall. And if you can be he's been playing professional hockey for 4 years, and does he deserve to win something? Yes. Like maybe they should make an award for the best breakout season every year. In which case Panarin
Yeah.
would be that. And it's not even so much like a one-off award as like you had one fucking amazing season for the entire season. You deserve something. Maybe David
Yeah.
Clarkson would have won it a few years ago, but I think Panarin should deserve some recognition for how he's playing.
David Clarkson would have won the in hindsight season for that one.
That's Francois Beauchemin this year.
Oh boy.
But for how you can't. It just seems wrong to call him a rookie when you're comparing him to all these 18 and 19-year-old guys that are playing very, very well, but haven't played 4 years of pro hockey. You kind of skipped a question there on the Kane one though. Do you?
I just kind of skipped over it because at that point I didn't care. Does he deserve? He's going to get the Art Ross. Does he deserve the Hart?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
100-point season. I'm pretty sure that's worth the Hart. Yeah.
Well, it was him or Holtby and Crawford, and Crawford's having a business season, which
I
covers
think
the next
Holtby
question.
is. Yeah, we'll talk about that one later. But I think Ghost Bear. I'm still haven't actually heard
Gostisbehere.
someone. Gostisbehere? Okay.
Gostisbehere.
It's literally Gostisbehere.
Gostisbehere, yeah.
Okay. Wow. So I get the Ghost Bear joke a little bit more than I did 5 seconds ago.
It makes a lot more sense, yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at his stats. He played 7 games last year. Was he injured the whole season?
Who? Gostisbehere?
Yeah. He only
I think
played
went down the AHL.
He played 5 games for the AHL team and 2 for Philly.
Was he playing elsewhere?
No.
He must have been injured all year then, yeah.
Holy shit. In that case, yeah, fucking, I don't care how good Connor McDavid's doing. This guy played 7 games last year and is on point per game pace as a fucking rookie defenseman.
Masterson?
McDavid better be doing really fucking well. I was gonna say the Masterton is clearly what Ghost Bear deserves. I'm pretty sure he must be a lock this year because no one else has gone through miss a season, play like a god, quite to the same extent.
Chris Letang? Maybe Kevin.
That's true.
Vieska did break his. No, who is it? Who broke his face like a year
I don't
ago?
remember. Yeah. Wow. Jesus. I didn't notice it back when I was in Pittsburgh, but Chris Letang has been playing really fucking well
Yeah.
because he's almost a point per game too.
Well, I mean, he's on team. Is he on Team Canada? No.
No, he wasn't announced to Team Canada, but I would guess that he's probably in contention now.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about that roster real quick too as a closing point if you want. Although we're at about.
Yeah, I
50
just want to
minutes.
wrap this up. I think, as we saw from back when Yakupov had the same points as Huberdeau, but he had more goals than him, they clearly do the voting at least a month ahead of time, so they might miss out on McDavid suddenly turning it on and getting 50 points in 35 games or whatever.
He's also been the focal point along with Gostisbehere. I think it's between those two, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think Dylan Larkin will be at all in the consideration. He's been playing pretty well, but Panarin's been playing better than him, and we're still not really seriously thinking it's going to be him out of the two. I think it'll probably be Ghost Bear.
It probably will be.
Even though we undressed him when he played against us, that doesn't make up for the fact that he's getting close to Carlson level points.
Now, there's two arguments here. Do you see the Calder as an acknowledgement of the best rookie player, or do you the best rookie season?
Is there a difference?
I think there is, because McDavid is the best rookie player by a mile. It's not even close. Best rookie season. You could argue Gostisbehere.
Yeah, point totals and whatnot and shit like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, based on how they've done it with the Calder, clearly the points don't matter because if goals are worth more than assists, Yakupov should have fucking won it. But if they did the voting today, I'm guessing they probably did roughly around this time with the Yakupov and Huberdeau stuff. I don't see how Ghost Bear wouldn't win it today. McDavid would probably have. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe McDavid could be talking about
Yeah,
the Masterton too. Out for half the season, comes back doing better than he was when he was
I
playing
feel like
before.
it has to be like the year before. I don't know if that's right or not, but
Maybe,
part
maybe. In
part of
that
it
case, then yeah,
part of it
those
for
two are like
McDavid.
top contenders for two
Yeah.
awards.
Well, with Calder, I think McDavid has a better chance of it than we think because he's at the third highest, or he's at second highest points per game in the league right now, and he's on pace for, I
The only
guess,
one doing better than him is Kane.
yeah, and that's the guy that's going to win the Art Ross. So as a
Yeah,
rookie, if you're competing with him, like Gostisbehere is amazing and he broke a streak, but he basically had 1.5 good months and the rest of them have been okay, but not substantial enough to be in the media. Whereas McDavid has been every time he's been playing in the league, he's been producing and blowing up teams.
yeah,
So I think you could argue that McDavid's actually had the better season as a whole, but whether or not the journalists are going to consider the whole season or the second half, which they tend to lean on more. Whereas, like with Yakupov and Nugent Hopkins were both injured, they had the same point totals. They actually had more goals, both of them, but McKinnon and Huberdeau won because they were out when they voted. So
yeah.
I think because McDavid's playing now and he has been playing so well for last month that he might actually have a better chance than we think, and he might win, which would be kind of nice.
Maybe.
But
But ultimately, at the end of the day, to wrap up this part of the discussion, Oilers are not allowed to win the Calder, so this was all
it's
fruitless
just
and
gonna
goes fair.
happen. Gostisbehere's gonna win. So
And for the last final most valuable player in X position or X situation, Vezina favorite at this point in the season, Holtby.
I almost say Corey Crawford. Um,
I mean, I think Crawford's in it, but like
better stats, but
Holtby
Holtby's
just
cool.
got a contract. Holtby just got paid, and this is the point where people could be saying maybe he'll let off the gas a little bit now that he's not playing for anything. He's playing like his fucking life depends on it.
I mean, he's also well, he hit 40 wins already, but he's also and
Yeah,
he's playing a lot. That's the other thing. Like he's playing
he
a
has set
lot.
a record this season by being the first one to 40.
Mm-hmm.
His team is doing fairly better than the Blackhawks, who are basically just stealing players for free from every other team in the league at this point.
Yeah. Mm.
Stan Bowman is a fucking cheater and has dirt on the other 29 GMs, apparently.
Just
I mean, I was traded to the Caps like last off season or whatever in the like hockey subreddit trade
yeah.
thing, and I became a fan of them as a result. So I do have a bias towards saying Holtby should win it, but like just look how good the Caps are doing. So much of that has to do with how well Holtby has been, and
Yeah.
Crawford is showing like every passing season that he's not just an above average goalie; he's a very good goalie. But like Holtby is elite. He is among the five best goalies in the world, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it will be Holtby. Crawford's been really good, but he's been really good for a little bit now, and Holtby was incredible, and now he's been still very good, but not as good for the last little bit. I think a lot of it will depend on the playoffs.
Yeah,
So if you see Holtby, shutting down everything in the playoffs, like he's gonna get more focus, then yeah, I think Holtby wins. If Crawford, if Chicago wins another cup, then Crawford wins Vesna.
yeah,
I just think that's how it'll go. Anyway,
fair enough.
I think we've probably run our course today. We ended up going for almost a full hour with two of us anyway, despite that's
Yeah, but we
including
had
technical
we had a
issues.
couple hiccups, so
Yeah, yay internet.
hey,
This will be a lot easier if we're all in the same room at some point in May. We'll
maybe.
see. At any rate, I don't know if we had anybody actually watching. Do you check the YouTube thread at all?
Yeah. Other than Arun's earlier comments, there hasn't been anyone commenting, and nothing going on in the subreddit either.
Cool. All right, so I think we'll
We
end
didn't
it.
really post with a lot of
20 minutes
prior
notice.
knowledge. Like we kind of posted, yeah, a little bit late, and only really Arun was aware of it. So
Yeah, that's okay. We'll figure it out later. This one probably only get 15, 20 views.
yeah, that's fine.
Either way. Anyway, so thank you to all of us for joining us, whether you're watching it now or later. Thank you, Nolan, for joining me on such short notice. Appreciate it. And
Yeah, thank you, Adam, for texting me as soon as I woke up and saying, "Hey, you want to do a podcast today?" No one's showing up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Got off work. At any rate, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us, and have a good one.